Welcome to the Presentation Guild's monthly series of webinars called Inspired by Design with Julie Terberg. I'm Nolan Haynes. I'm a Microsoft MVP in Montclair, New Jersey, and we're here with Julie in Michigan. Julie is the art director for the Presentation Guild, also a fellow PowerPoint MVP. She's written a number of books, is definitely one of the experts in presentation that we have in this world. She loves what she does. She is the guru of design. We've got about 20 minutes today. We're going to do some Q&A at the end. I'll mention at the end as well, but our next webinar is going to be Thursday, September 22nd. So without much more, actually I should say if you do have questions, you can throw them into the question and answer panel over on the right side of your screen. You can also minimize that whole tab if you need to. And we'll try to get to questions as you have them or at the end. And now I'm going to send it over to Julie.
Thanks, Nolan. Glad to be back again for the third episode of the Inspired by Design webinar series. Today we're going to talk all about some fun custom fonts and how to introduce them in your work in small doses and how to get them to look great on everyone's system. So again, like Nolan said, I welcome your ideas for future episodes. What would you like to learn more about, and what do you want to see? You can send your ideas in the Q&A panel today during this webinar or later on in the member forum on the Guild website. You go to the presentationguild.org site under the Community tab, go to the member forum, and there's a suggestion box. Look for the Inspired Design topics there. Now, in the first two episodes, we talked about finding and saving design ideas for later use when you need something fabulous, and how to copy and transform those ideas and those elements from those ideas into something unique for your own presentations. So today I've pulled out a few design concepts from my OneNote folder, and these designs all feature a handwritten font. They really are interesting. I love the quote on the left, "You're interesting and different," and I like that, and I could say that about all of these handwritten fonts. It's nice to introduce something a bit different. It's eye-catching, it's arresting, it's different. We're so used to seeing everything in the same sans serif fonts that it's fun to introduce something unique. Here are a few more. Now the ones on the left include some hand-drawn script, and the yup on the right-hand side with the arrow, that looks hand-drawn too. Now we want to add a bit of variety to our designs. Because it looks inviting, it adds more personality. Again, we're used to seeing the same fonts over and over again. So where do you find these custom fonts? Where do you find unique handwritten things like that? A few of the sources, you can choose licensed fonts, and the reason why you want to choose a licensed font is if you're sharing it with clients and they're going to need to create their own script statements. You want to find something that is properly constructed, has uniform letter forms and spacing, etc. Most of the free fonts are fine for very small statements and short uses, but if you're going to use a custom font for, say, a whole deck, and again, if your client needs to make changes to it, you might want to look into purchasing licensed fonts because they are superior. Now, also be aware that the free fonts that you'll see, some of them have incomplete character sets. So let's say you're typing something and the quote happens to need a special symbol or whatnot. You're probably going to have to change fonts for that. Some of my favorite resources here, I love the fonts on Font Squirrel and DaFont. Those are all free. But there are some free fonts also available at companies like FontHead. You know, you might find something there. Nolan, what are your favorite font resources?
I like DaFont a lot. I also use Typekit from Adobe. Do you use that at all?
Typekit?
Yeah.
It's funny, I haven't even considered using it for the Office side, but I've used Typekit on the InDesign side. So maybe I'll have to do a little bit more exploring of Typekit that way.
Yeah, actually, I brought that up. I use it mostly for Adobe, or actually exclusively for Adobe. I'm not exactly sure how well it would translate to.
Right. Right.
But
You
yeah,
have to do some experimenting.
Yeah, I definitely found some good things on Defont. I mean, often as well, if I know a specific name, I'll just do a Google search and whatever. Sometimes it comes up on multiple websites.
You have to be careful, careful of a couple things. In some instances, that font, while it might be a legitimate name, again, the font may be incomplete, and the font name may conflict with something else you already have. You just got to be careful of those, the ones that are not legitimate, especially if it's replicating something of a more traditional name. You know.
True, and to that point, I wouldn't install, 100 fonts at once. I would try to do it one by one in case you do have.
Yes. Yeah, keep track of what fonts you've installed yourself. That's always a good practice. So let's keep going here. One of the fun things that you may not know is that you can create your own script font. So you can have your handwriting or your child's handwriting, for instance. These are free. So here's just one resource for that, myscriptfont.com. Give it a try. It's a lot of fun, especially if you just want to type your own notes in your own hand. It's a great thing to try out.
I think that's a great resource I didn't know about. A few years ago, I found what I thought was the best handwritten font on the cover of Esquire, and I contacted them. I found an intern at Esquire. I said, "What is that font?" And they said, "Oh, that's just our art director's own handwriting.
Right.
It's not a real font." So,
well, you've got
it turned into a font.
If you've got some patience, you can fill out one of those matrices and make your own. It's fun to use once in a while. I had mine on one of my old systems. I don't know whatever happened to it. This is one of my favorite new fonts, spice things up. It's called HoneyScript, and this is also a free font. You'll see it a lot today. One of the other things you can do to make your standard fonts look custom is you can add some spacing to them. Throw them in all caps, add some spacing to them. It works great for short phrases. Again, it makes your standard fonts look a little bit more custom. Here's a combination here of two custom fonts. This is Futura Light Condensed and HoneyScript again. Looks great, doesn't it? I mean, it's unique, it's different, eye-catching. It's not your same old sans serif over and over again. But what happens, when your client opens the file on PowerPoint Online or on their Mac? This is font substitution, and it's rarely pretty. Can you imagine your CEO showing up to deliver a keynote like this, Nolan, and his slides look like a garbled mess?
Oh, I'm sure we've seen it.
So
we don't have to imagine it. We've seen it.
Yeah, and we get decks all the time from clients and colleagues and whatnot who, maybe they didn't realize they were using a custom font, right? And we get the file, open it up, and we see something like this, and we go, wow, I wonder what that was really I wonder what it was supposed to look like.
Now, Julie, this is an extreme example of a bad substitution in a handwritten font, but any font could result in issue.
Any font, yeah. We're going to cover that a little bit also with custom fonts and safe fonts. Okay. I'm going to go over that and give you some resources to find out which fonts are considered more safe than others. But right now, suffice it to say that anything that you've installed yourself on your system is going to be a custom font. And some folks try and embed those on their PC. And while embedding might appear to work on your system, the chances are good that that font is not going to show up down the line. Macs won't even recognize embedded fonts.
Right. And so what's your recommendation for embedding? Would it be never?
Don't. No. Don't. So we're gonna give you some alternates to that. Perfect segue. So a bit about safe fonts and custom fonts. There is a set of fonts installed on most platforms, and we refer to it as the safe set, because you're safe using them in your Office documents and PowerPoint presentations and templates, because they won't be substituted for something else. If somebody opens up PowerPoint on another version or in another system, another platform. So any font that is not included in that deemed safe set is risky. Some of your colleagues may have the same exact setup you do, and so the fonts will show up fine if you choose something that's off of this list, right? But if you're ever going to share your presentations beyond your desktop or your office, you have to be aware that those custom fonts or odd fonts are a bit risky. Now, our friend and fellow Presentation Guild member, Johanna Runval at Presentitude. She put together this fantastic guide giving you 74 font combinations from those most common safe fonts. The URL is up here. Take a look at it. She's done a beautiful, beautiful job putting together these font combinations that you could use in your own themes. And this was originally based on the book that Echo Swinford and I co-wrote called Building PowerPoint Templates. So the safe font list is also in the templates book. Now, how can you make those custom fonts? The fonts that are not on the safe font list are wonderful handwritten fonts, are free fonts. How can we make them look great beyond your system? You have quite a few options. Now, for quite a few different methods. The first one that I think is used most often is saving the file as a PDF. The fonts look as they're intended, and nothing gets destroyed visually except for animations, transitions. There's no automatic, sectioning. You're not really going to present as a PDF. That's rare. It's difficult for other folks to edit their slides and so on and so forth. So PDF is maybe a way to get your client's approval for a deck before you do other things to your custom font text. Some of the other methods to making sure your fonts look as intended would be saving them as a video. You could save your deck as a video, autoplay, etc. And now it's non-editable again, and it doesn't work for a paste delivery, but it would keep all your animations. You can also save your slides as pictures. Do a picture presentation. Save the entire deck as pictures and reinsert them as a picture presentation. Once again, non-editable, no animation, but your custom fonts are going to look great. So this isn't really like there's no perfect solution here. But let's take a look at some other ways that you can get the font into your slides and still retain some of that animation capability and editability. One of the other things that we do often is paste special. You're going to take your text. Now this is fully editable text. The font here is Halo hand letter. This is another script font that I love. Beautiful. I'm in demo mode. I'm going to show you how to paste your editable text. This here is Halo hand letter. And we're going to copy this text box to the clipboard and then click the paste button, paste special, and now paste it as a PNG. So it was copied to the clipboard, pasted as a PNG. Now it's not editable, but as an object, this is now, you can animate it. So
and
that's
that's transparent too, right?
It is transparent because it's a PNG. Good point, Nolan, thanks. One of the things I'd like to point out that if you're using this method, that if you copy and paste special at exactly the same size, that your text is a little bit fuzzy. Do you see if you may not see it on the video, but take a look at this on your own desktop, zoom in at 400%, which may emulate a large screen projection. Your font edges, the letter form edges will be a little bit fuzzy. So my suggestion to help that would be to increase your size a little bit. Let's increase that a few times. Now copy that to the pasteboard, to the clipboard, paste special, and now paste the PNG and shrink it down a little bit. Now if you do that, and you zoom in at 400%, you have nice crisp edges.
That's great.
So cheat it a little bit by making your text a bit larger before you copy it to the clipboard. Now, the next tip comes from our friend Gatesh Bajaj at InDesign, and Gatesh has a great tutorial on this method, but it's fairly simple to follow these instructions here. You have your editable text. Again, same word, delightful, in Halo hand letter. You draw a shape. I'm going to draw a rectangle. And let's put the rectangle behind our text. So arrange, send to back. With the rectangle selected, hold shift. I'm selecting both at the same time. So I selected the text. Now if you go to the Drawing Tools Format tab, we're going to go to Merge Shapes and choose Intersect. Now I have a fully movable, transparent. If I right click, I can hit edit points. You can see now this is a shape that if you wanted to, you could start editing points. There are some more tips on Gitesh's site about using fragment to create individual letters out of that, using that merge shapes technique. So again, search for convert to shapes with PowerPoint. This technique is available, the merge shapes is available with for this purpose in versions newer than PowerPoint 2013, so 2013, 2016, and on the Mac. So I want to show you one more. Our friend Jamie at UPresent in the UK has this beautiful, easier to use, much more robust tool called Text to Outline. Now, Text to Outline, you can get it at this URL, upresent.co.uk/T2O. I'm selecting the word magical, which is HoneyScript. And now I go up to the add-in, Text to Outline, and I tell it to convert text to outline. Now I have choices here. I can keep the original or replace it. If I select keep and hit OK, it places an editable copy of the text off your slide so that if you ever need to make changes later on your end, you have the font installed. You can change the text, change it to say magically, and now we can start all over again.
And Julie, this is free. This is a free add-in, right?
It's free.
That's fantastic.
And it is fabulous. It does the same exact thing as merge shapes it's easier. You never have to draw another shape, and it also automatically will copy, if you tell it to, another text box off slide. The other benefit is that you can also, there are some more options to automatically change all the text in your presentation that uses one particular font at once. So take a look at the free Text to Outline add-in. A couple caveats there: you cannot use text in any placeholder. It will only work in text boxes. So don't put text inside of a shape or anything like that. Make sure that they are in free-floating text boxes.
Hey Julie, why would somebody want to convert to a shape and not a PNG, or vice versa?
Why would you want to convert to a shape? Personally, I think it's crisper, easier. It's easy to manipulate. I think this way I can recolor it to match my template instantly. So there are some things you can do easier than a PNG. I can add a gradient to this. I can add, a nice shadow or whatever I needed to. I can also knock it out of something else easily.
Would it reduce the file size?
I believe it reduces it, yes. I believe that because these are vector shapes, they are much smaller.
Cool.
So, other than that, I just have a couple more examples. Nolan, do you want to open it up for a couple questions?
Yeah. Does anybody, we've had one or two questions. Somebody asked about, I'm trying to share my webcam here. Somebody asked about embedding, and I think we, you gave the party line on that one, that it's probably just
not a good idea. It doesn't always work. Yeah. And not all fonts can be embedded either. A lot of them are protected against that with their license, and so they are coded not to be embeddable.
And it can also result in some corruption too, which makes me unhappy. Is there, looks like we've got a question from somebody named Rick, Rick A, I believe. Rick is asking if we can see, if we're going to be able to see you live at any point coming up, maybe in October?
I will be at the Presentation Summit. I can't wait. My favorite conference, and I get to talk about this wonderful world of presentation design.
Are you going to be talking about fonts and design?
That may come up in a couple of sessions.
Okay. Is there any rule? Do you have any rule of thumb about about how much of a script font to use on a slide? I mean, I don't think you'd say you should put all of your body copy in it, right?
Yeah, you can, I say keep it simple. If you guys can still see my demo screen, can you still see that?
Yes, we can.
All right. So the less is more, right? The less is more school of design. On this slide, I've just had a couple of keywords with script. All right, and here's a statement that's all in a handwritten script. but it's a short statement, right? You want to keep it simple. And don't mix multiple script fonts on a slide. Try and keep your script fonts, I would suggest maybe one, possibly two throughout a deck. Keep it consistent too.
What are your favorite script fonts? Your sort of go-to?
Lately, you're seeing my favorites. This is Halo Hand Letter on the word survey results, and my other favorite is Honey Script. I think it's just a beautiful.
Well, that was great. All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have any other questions at the moment. This was super helpful. Definitely a lot of on-the-ground tips and tricks for getting custom fonts into your presentation without tears. So thank you very much, Julie.
Thanks, Nolan.
Next month, we're going to be talking about more design topics. Thursday, September 22nd is our next webinar. Hopefully, we'll see you guys there.
Hope to see you then. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Julie.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.